Well, I would love to take a lot of credit for it, but I think first of all, it comes naturally to me. I'm a person in general, even in general life, very rarely do I get angry or do I express how I feel very openly. I feel like it's always an advantage not to show your opponent how you're feeling, because if you're anxious, then they might take advantage of it. If you're overconfident, they might sniff it. And, at this top level, it just takes margins for your opponent to sniff something or to sniff an opening of the door, and they just jump on it. So I try to keep myself, let's say, not a poker face. Like sometimes you need to show some emotion for your own self, but I try to keep it as steady as possible so as not to give anything away to my opponent. Mike, as I said, is the Harvard head coach, former coach for Jonathan Power, world number 1 world champion, Sarah Fitzgerald, and so many. And I was very lucky to work with him during my Harvard years. He's a great coach on so many levels in so many different aspects of the game. But the best thing about him is the mental side of the game. And he's always said that, there are those players that go into waves during a match mentally more than anything. Obviously, we all go through waves of playing very well and then not so well and again, but at least mentally you want to always be on the same line, at least not fluctuate very much. And Mike has always been fond of this, and we've always worked on being as steady as possible. And to be able to perform like that, you have to be here steady as possible. And Mike likes to call them those spirals. No matter how well you prepare, how experienced you are, or how well you're playing, there is going to be a phase of the match that you're going to be doubting yourself. You're going to be, and Mike likes to call it a spiral. You keep going into a spiral and you never get out of it. And then Mike thinks the better you prepare, the better you visualize, and the more experience you have, obviously, you're still going through a spiral, but at least you're going forward during the spiral. So at least you're not standing in the same place and not progressing in your mind. So it's, I try. The best thing for me is visualizing. I kept making fun of it while at college, and I kept telling Mike, visualizing can never help, and how's it going to help me? And now I can never step on court without visualizing. And now, thankfully, it happens naturally to me. At the beginning, I had to sit down, even script it sometimes, and before the match, and close my eyes. Now, as I'm going through the day of the match, in the grocery store, in bed, while having lunch, scenarios go through my head during the match. And the good thing about it is that when you visualize something and then the scenario actually happens during the match, you don't panic as much, believe it or not. And because when you're visualizing, you actually go through the emotions of the scenario. I even breathe hard sometimes, I sweat sometimes. I visualize all possible scenarios that can happen, so that when they actually happen, I do not panic. With every scenario, I have something set to deal with it. And I think this has helped me a lot during my professional career and even my college career because of Mike. And this is something I would definitely encourage everyone to get on.